All right, so we're diving deep this time into a Louise Penny novel, and you guys know I love a good mystery.
You do, you do.
This one's called The Gray Wolf,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to take a look at just the core mystery, right?
Right.
One of you wrote in and said, "Hey, could you guys just explain the mystery? Like, I don't have time to read the whole book." And honestly, this mystery itself is quite complex.
Yeah.
So this is taking place, of course, in the charming village of Three Pines, Quebec.
Of course.
But we're dealing with a possible terrorist attack. We got whispers of a conspiracy reaching high into the Canadian government.
Oh my.
And of course, how could we forget our favorite Chief Inspector Armand Gamache is right in the middle.
Right at the heart of it.
Yeah, so I guess the best place to start is right at the beginning.
Yeah, let's do that.
And in this book, it starts with Gamache getting a series of phone calls
Yes.
while he's in Three Pines,
Was
right?
he right?
He's supposed to be enjoying a peaceful weekend. These phone calls are just relentless, though, and they really start to get under his skin.
Yeah, it's not like him at all.
Yeah, and it culminates in him actually, like, kind of having a public outburst,
Mm-hmm.
which, if you know Gamache and you know Three Pines,
Right.
this is
Not the plus.
not typical behavior at all,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, no.
And to top it off, the person that's calling him
Yeah.
is someone that he had previously told to, in no uncertain terms, go to hell.
To go to hell. And she calls him back.
I know, right?
It's audacious.
It's like, what on earth could possibly warrant such a call?
Right. I mean, what could she possibly have to say?
Exactly. So what happens next?
So then things start to get a little weird, even weirder than an angry Gamache, which, as we said, is
Okay, rare sight.
very rare, yes.
Right.
So he can't find his coat.
Oh, no.
It's just gone.
So he thinks he left it somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, who...
He's in Three Pines. Maybe he left it at the bistro or something.
Yeah, maybe he left it at Olivier's. Maybe it's at the, the general store.
Right, right.
But then it reappears
That's
in his
right.
office.
Back in Montreal.
Back in Montreal.
Okay.
And tucked into the pocket.
All right, now we're talking.
Are a couple of cryptic notes.
Now, I have had a few bad commutes in my time, but like finding a missing coat with cryptic notes,
Right.
that's a new level.
Yeah, whole other dimension of travel there.
So like, what are these notes and what do they mean?
Well, one of the notes is a list of herbs.
Right.
Like fennel, thyme, sage, mace, nutmeg.
Okay. Seems pretty harmless so far.
Yeah, you'd think so, maybe a grocery list.
Yeah.
But it turns out that this list, along with a symbol that's found later on, it points directly to this environmental organization called Action Quebec Bleu.
Okay, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Somebody breaks into Gamache's apartment in Montreal,
Mm-hmm.
steals his coat, takes it to his office, leaves it there,
Mm-hmm.
and leaves a list of herbs and what was the other thing?
And a symbol.
And a symbol, okay?
Yeah.
And it's all connected to this environmental organization.
That's right, yeah.
That's pretty strange.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is on these notes?
Well, there's another note, and it's an invitation
An invitation.
to meet somebody
Yeah.
at this very specific cafe.
Which cafe?
It's called Open Donite.
I've heard of that place.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that Gamache kind of has a history with?
Yes, there's a personal connection there, yeah.
It's almost like they're playing with him, like, hey, come to this cafe. We know you're familiar with this place.
Uh-huh. They're toying with him a little bit, like
Yeah.
they know him.
Like they know.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the name that he's supposed to use to meet this person, Charles, that it's all very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Even down to the cannoli that Vito, the cafe owner, offers him. It's all part of the setup.
So Gamache goes to the cafe.
He does.
Now,
So he's sitting there, and you can just feel this tension, right? Like something's about to happen.
mm-hmm.
And then suddenly, an SUV comes barreling through the front of the cafe.
What? Are you serious?
I'm completely serious.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's chaos, people screaming, running for their lives.
Well, that's terrifying.
When everything settles,
Yeah.
Charles is dead.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so whoever this Charles is
Right.
was the target.
It seems that way, yes.
This was no accident.
No, this was deliberate.
Okay, so who is this Charles guy?
Well, his real name is Charles Langlois.
Okay.
And Gamache, being the dutiful inspector, goes to visit Charles's parents. And their grief, it's just palpable.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And Charles's father, he says this really chilling thing to Gamache.
Uh-oh, what does he say?
He says, he has you fooled too.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah.
And what about his mom?
Oh, Charles's mother,
Yeah.
just pure terror in her eyes. Like she knows something, but she's too afraid to say it.
It's like they're hiding something.
Right. Like there's a whole other layer to this story that we haven't even begun to uncover.
Yeah, okay, so we got the herbs, we got the environmental group, And now we got the parents acting super suspicious.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, let's take a closer look at that list of herbs.
Okay.
And that symbol we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things start to point towards a much, much bigger plot.
Okay.
And the possibility that someone within the Sûreté, Gamache's own force, is compromised.
Wait, you're telling me that there could be a mole?
That's what it's starting to look like.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's getting complicated.
This is big, yeah. Okay, so what's next?
So Gamache gets another clue, this time from a monk.
A monk?
Yeah, this monk, his name is Dom Philippe,
Okay.
and he lives in a secluded monastery not too far from Three Pines.
Okay.
And he leaves Gamache a coded message.
A coded message. Where?
In the Three Pines church.
This is wild.
Yeah, it's like a spy novel.
This is crazy.
It is.
So what does this message say?
Well, it's cryptic, of course.
Of course.
But it mentions a malady and water.
Malady and water. That's right.
This doesn't sound good.
It's not. No, it's definitely a warning.
Okay.
And when Gamache meets with General Whitehead,
Who's General Whitehead?
he's a high-ranking official in the Canadian military.
Okay.
He kind of lays it all out there.
What do you mean?
Well, he talks about the potential for a terrorist attack on the drinking water supply.
The drinking water.
Yeah,
Like the water that people drink.
that's right.
Wow, this just got real.
Yeah, we've gone from a strange prank to a potential act of mass murder.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, Gamache starts to piece together the connection between Charles Langlois,
The guy from the cafe.
that's right,
Yeah.
and Jean Caron, the woman who made those chilling phone calls, and Dom Philippe, the monk who left the coded message.
Okay.
And it's like a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Each piece brings him closer to the truth,
Yeah.
but it also puts him in more danger.
Oh boy. All right, I'm hooked.
Me too. This is just the beginning. I can't wait to hear what happens next, but we're going to have to leave it right there for now.
Okay, we'll pick it up in the next deep dive.
Sounds good. We've just scratched the surface of this complex conspiracy.
There's much more to come.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time for part 2.
See you then.
Okay, so we left off with a potential terrorist attack on the drinking water supply.
Right, a pretty high-stakes situation.
Yeah, and the thing that really gets me is, like, this whole time, Gamache has been like a step behind.
Yes, constantly reacting, always trying to catch up.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you stop something that you don't even fully understand?
Exactly. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing.
And then there's that moment when Gamache says, that's the least of it.
Oh, yeah, chills.
Right. Like, what could be worse than poisoning the water supply?
Well, I guess we're about to find out.
And then there's this whole thing about the two wolves.
Right, the gray wolf and the black wolf.
Like a constant battle between good and evil.
The struggle within.
And it's not just Gamache. It's like everyone is dealing with it.
Absolutely. It's a universal theme.
So, okay, let's talk about what happens next.
All right, so the climax of the story takes place at the water treatment plant.
Yeah, it's a race against time.
Gamache and his team are trying to prevent a catastrophe.
And they come face to face with the mastermind behind it all.
Yeah, and it's not who you'd expect.
Who is it?
It's David Levine.
Wait a minute, David Levine? As in Gamache's godson?
The one and only.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
I mean, how could Gamache not see this coming?
Well, that's the thing about betrayal. It often comes from the people we trust the most.
And this isn't just some random bad guy. This is like family.
Yeah, it adds a whole other layer of complexity to the story.
So what happens at the water treatment plant?
It's intense. There's attempted poisoning, a shootout. Gamache gets injured.
Oh no, is he out?
He survives, but it's a close call.
Wow, this is heavy.
Yeah, and in the end, they managed to stop the attack.
Thank goodness.
But the damage is done, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah, it's like a wound that will never fully heal.
Right, there are scars that remain.
So what happens to David Levine?
Well, that's kind of left up in the air.
Really?
Yeah, Penny doesn't give us all the answers.
We don't know if he goes to jail or what.
It's left to our imagination.
Interesting. So there's like a lingering sense of unease.
A feeling that the story isn't quite over.
Okay, so what about the other players? What happens to Dom Philippe and Jean Caron?
Well, Dom Philippe dies under mysterious circumstances.
Oh, wow.
And Jean Caron is arrested.
So at least she's off the streets.
Yeah, but her motives are still kind of murky.
It's like there are pieces of the puzzle that are still missing.
Right. And that leads us to the final twist.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that.
Remember Charles Langlois, the guy who was killed in the cafe?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he kept detailed notes about the plot to contaminate the water supply.
So he knew what was going on.
He did, and he was trying to stop it.
But he was also hiding something, right?
Exactly. He hid another notebook.
What was in it?
It detailed a separate plot to contaminate the water.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this one involved brucellosis, a dangerous bacteria.
So there were two threats to the water supply,
That's right.
and they were completely unrelated.
Oh, that's not entirely clear.
This is crazy.
It is, and it gets even more complicated.
Oh.
Well, this second plot is connected to the mob.
The mob. Are you serious?
Totally serious.
This just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, it's a wild ride.
So what was Charles's role in all of this?
That's the million-dollar question. Wasn't he trying to expose both plots? Or was he protecting someone?
Yeah, what was he really up to?
Penny leaves us with more questions than answers.
It's like she wants us to keep thinking about it even after we finish the book.
Exactly. She wants us to engage with the story to try and figure it out for ourselves.
So ultimately, what was Charles Langlois trying to protect?
That, my friend, is the ultimate mystery.
Okay, so we've unpacked this crazy conspiracy in The Grey Wolf.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
But what about, like, the aftermath?
Right, the dust settles, the immediate danger is gone, but...
But it's not really over.
No.
What happens to Three Pines?
Well, Three Pines is this idyllic village, right? It's a place known for its warmth, its quirky character.
That sense of community?
Right, exactly. But now it carries this weight.
Yeah, like a darkness has fallen over it.
Like a shadow.
They were so close to a real tragedy.
Uh-huh. It makes you realize that even in a place like Three Pines, evil can, it can find a foothold.
It really makes you think, right? Like nowhere is immune.
It changes you, it makes you more aware, more cautious.
And Gamache, I mean, he's obviously injured, but...
Oh, the emotional toll.
Right. How does he even begin to recover from this?
He's been betrayed by people he loved. He's seen the worst of humanity.
He's had to question everything he thought he knew.
His faith in people, in the system, even in his own judgment.
It's like he's lost a part of himself.
Yeah, a part of his innocence, for sure.
But he's still fighting, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's still Gamache.
He's still determined to find the truth and to bring justice.
That's what makes him so admirable. He never gives up.
Even when it hurts.
Even when it breaks him.
So we're left with this question. What was Charles Langlois really trying to protect?
Was it more than just the water? Was there something even bigger at stake? Penny doesn't give us all the answers,
She leaves us with these loose ends.
And that's part of the brilliance of her writing. It keeps us thinking. It keeps us engaged.
We become detectives ourselves, trying to piece it all together.
We examine the evidence. We try to understand the motivations.
We're left with this lingering sense of unease.
The feeling that the story isn't truly over.
And that maybe there are still truths out there waiting to be uncovered.
Maybe, just maybe.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into The Grey Wolf.
A truly chilling tale.
It's a story that stays with you, makes you think about the choices we make, the consequences of our actions.
It's a reminder that darkness can lurk anywhere, even in the most peaceful of places.
And that the battle between good and evil, well, that's a battle that never really ends.
We all have our own gray wolves and black wolves inside us.
It's up to us to choose which one we feed.
That's a powerful thought to leave with.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep those book lights burning.
Happy reading, everyone.